They say you can learn a lot about someone by the company they keep. And in the case of Tommy Robinson, a lot of crooked dudes who are basically just using him for their own political gains, like the promotion of Donald Trump, for example, protecting the NRA, to help UKIP become the next government of Great Britain, and to spread worldwide fear of the Muslim community. Is Tommy aware of this? Judge for yourself. You know, in the old days, if someone made a racist remark, the people involved could deal with it right there and then. And that guy in the bar claiming that Michelle Obama's a transvestite, people would just laugh and ignore him. But we're living in different times now where anyone can speak to the whole world, where even young kids could pretend they're a news channel. But in this difficult period that we're going through now, how can we be sure that the information we're getting is true or false? Because it's all getting kind of crazy, especially with the so-called Muslim problem. Now, before I start, I want to make it clear, I'm not a religious guy. But if people want to worship gods, well, let them do it as long as it doesn't cause anyone else any problems. And if there are problems, we deal with it in a civilized way. The way I see it, if you're born in the Middle East, the chances are your religion will be Islam. And in the West, Christianity. Let's be honest, if this guy had been born into a different family or country, his career could have taken a completely different path. But as long as we've got this shit in the West...
Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for the tremendous leadership of our great president, Donald J. Trump.
I guess there's nothing much we can do to change things. So this is about these dark forces that are trying to manipulate our minds. A well-coordinated group of people who are using social media like YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter to put out lies, deception, and more often than not, avoiding reality. Now, I heard about Tommy Robinson in the past, you know, with his work regarding the scale of rape gangs operating in the UK. But recently I decided to check out his YouTube channel, you know, to catch up. And boy, have I started to see a different side of him, which left me in doubt about what his objectives are. And I found some stuff that gave me a good idea of who he is. Like this one where he refers to Muslims as Musrats.
They continue, like they're saying now, anti-Muslim tweets, anti-Muslim. I don't talk about Muslims.
And yes, this whole migration thing is a big problem. But we have to remember there are some genuine people who really need our help, because they're not responsible for the destruction of their country. But these alt-right channels out there are trying to paint a picture that they're all evil, rapists, and suicide bombers. And they'd rather show you a guy like this than a guy like this.
Alright guys, until next time. Assalamu alaikum.
Now, he got locked up for reporting on a rape trial. And I have to say, like many other people, was that his plan to be arrested? You know, to enhance his status throughout the world? And maybe didn't bank on getting such a lengthy sentence? Well, who knows? But why was he there in the first place? They'd been arrested and charged, put on trial and soon to be jailed. His part was over. From what I've heard, the cops are rounding these guys up. There's around 70 trials already on the list. No, the big rape scandal has been and gone. But it's never over for Tommy, because he's a man on a mission. Well, he eventually got released.
Why would I have anything to say to you? All you do is lie.
All you do is lie? Well, hang on, folks, we got a whole bunch of lies coming. But at least he didn't get beaten up in jail this time. So let's go back to that day of his arrest.
You've all watched this? You've all watched this?
Yeah, we all watched it, Tommy, but I, for one, I'm a little bit confused. Because I don't know who Tommy Robinson is anymore. It seems that you've now become a bit of a celebrity, haven't you? And it looks like you're, well, to be honest, it looks like you're enjoying every single minute. Which, quite frankly, troubles me a little. Now, don't get me wrong. You've certainly highlighted some important issues regarding these grooming gangs. But the question I ask myself is, who's grooming Tommy Robinson? Because you seem to have a big team around you now, don't you? I mean, take a look. Looking pretty smart and working for Rebel Media? You look just like a regular TV reporter. Well, let's go see what we can find. Well, we've got the boss of Rebel Media, Ezra Levant, who's a Jewish guy and a Zionist. And one of the top female impersonators, Katie Hopkins, who also works for Rebel Media, and actually went out to Israel to spread the gospel under the title of Israel is My Natural Home.
In the country that I come from, as you'll appreciate, things are going downhill pretty fast. Many thanks to our Muslim mayor. He has sent our country down the tube.
No, he didn't, Katie. He's only the London mayor. He doesn't control the whole country, so don't tell lies.
This is about free speech.
No, it's about telling lies, Paul.
People like me are seen as a bit of the enemy in the UK, an enemy of the state, very much like Tommy Robinson, who was put in prison for 13 years. Oh, Tommy, Tommy!
Well, she was singing a different song a few weeks before.
Many people say he's an idiot, and in some ways I concur. He's been told not to report at these trials, and yet he's still there reporting. You know, he knew he was going to get into trouble.
And I'm sure she got her ass kicked for that one.
Oh, Tommy, Tommy!
And last but not least, Jack, I'm not a racist, Bugby.
And you might not necessarily identify me as English, but I am English.
Oh, of course, by nationality, yeah.
I was born here.
Yes.
I'm as English as you are. My native homeland is here. I was born here.
No, it's not. And here on this show, he seems to forget that these horrible rape gangs came from Pakistan and Bangladesh, and now infers that men from Syria are also rapists.
Taking a Syrian refugee, I hope you don't get raped.
Yeah, I'm sure this Syrian man's dying to get to England and get some serious action. But you two are just as guilty, Tommy.
What they're doing now in our country is raping their way through it.
Then we've got the ex-employees of Breitbart, ex-editor-in-chief Raheem Kassam, and of course, good old Milo. And now moving on to the guys I call the vulture vloggers. Gavin McInnes, Paul Joseph Watson, Alex Jones, and your co-star, Stefan Molyneux. And the only reason they've got their claws into you is to increase their audience and spread their lies throughout the whole world, and use whatever they can to convince their followers that what they say is the truth. And they will search far and wide to find some deranged idiot who will back up their crap.
So you're just about calling Obama the Antichrist.
I call him the son of Satan.
So Obama's the son of Satan. And then he tries to justify a cop shooting a black man dead who was completely innocent.
You do not shoot an innocent man in the back 8 times.
That's right, but I'm not justifying the shooting itself. I don't know what happened.
He doesn't know what happened?
All that I'm saying is that we should wait for due process.
So Gavin McInnes obviously thought that Christmas had come early and snapped him up.
Does racism exist?
Absolutely not. And it has never existed.
Whoa! 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 Whoa!
And no doubt gave Stefan Molyneux a call. Now keep in mind he always claims to have the best people on his show. But today, I'm afraid it's Uncle Tom.
I prove that racism does not exist. That's why we have not been able to solve the problem.
Yes, the man who continually goes on about the low IQ of blacks doesn't have a problem when it suits his agenda.
You want to vote for Donald J. Trump.
Well, I feel the spirit there, ladies. Thanks so much for your time. I hope we can do it again.
Now back to Uncle Tom, who claims he knows the problem with black people.
Most black men and women hate their mothers.
Not only black men, Jesse.
Can I tell you?
Yeah, go ahead, Steph. Tell him.
What I said to someone who gave me "but she's your mother" argument. Someone said to me, "Steph, but she's your mother." And I said, "Yes, she is. And that's why she's not fucking dead." The bond was strong enough that I didn't fucking kill her.
Oh, sorry, Tommy. I take it you heard all that, huh? Your hero, Stefan Molyneux the philosopher, the guy who talks to people about their emotional problems, has got mommy problems. And most women, really.
All the cold-hearted jerks who run the world came out of the vaginas of women who married assholes.
I'm not going to argue with that one. Okay, where were we? Oh yeah, Gavin McInnes. Oh, that reminds me. The next time you talk to Gavin, Tommy, ask him why, when he did a report on the murder of these brown men, shot dead by this white guy, did he feel the need to put in some comedy, you know? Look at him. Oh, ain't that... How does he do that? But the thing is, it's pretty disrespectful for the people who were murdered. And his conclusion is this.
There is a problem with shootings where they tend to be jihadists. We have a Muslim problem in this country.
And another problem is a lack of condemnation of a man who murders 6 innocent people, which says a lot about you and what you are. Interesting to note that a journalist who was covering the trial revealed a list of names that this kid had been looking at online. And yes, Gavin was there. And Stefan Molyneux, Alex Jones, and Paul Joseph Watson, the proud Trump boys.
I just got back from the inauguration. What a load of fun it was. We get to grab women by the pussy whenever we want.
There are gold diggers, women who will let famous men grab them by the pussy.
Yes, he flew all the way down to Washington to see the king being crowned. And the next thing you know, he's over there in London for your Day for Freedom rally. And surprise, surprise, Mr. Kassam's there too. And here you are together in 2016. And I couldn't help but notice on the wall, very conveniently, one of your heroes, Winston Churchill. Did you know that he was an out-and-out racist? Well, he was. Now, another friend of yours, Alex Jones. I want you to imagine he doesn't exist, okay? And Molyneux has a conversation with this guy.
The reason there's so many gay people now is because it's a chemical warfare operation. I have the government documents where they said they're going to encourage homosexuality with chemicals so that people don't have children.
Do you think Molyneux would say, oh, you and I must team up and start our own alternative news channel? I don't think so. But Alex Jones does exist, and Molyneux's made a shitload of money out of that relationship. But oh dear, Alex got dumped. Now I'm all for free speech, but when you put out false claims that cause people massive distress, that forces them to move home 7 times because they're in fear of their lives, then action must be taken. But let's hope nothing happens to Steph, huh? Or he'll have to go back to his old job, being a DJ at children's parties. Okay, I'll stop it there. That was just a joke. Just me having some fun. Unlike Alex Jones, I like to clarify what is true and what's not true. Now earlier we saw Katie Hopkins showing her support for Israel. And it seems, Tommy, so do you.
I notice you're wearing a button that says I'm a Zionist. What does a Zionist mean to you? What is a Zionist?
Well, a Zionist is someone who believes in a homeland for Jewish people.
My definition when I've looked at that in the dictionary is Israel first.
It means Israel first?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you possibly serve 2 masters, meaning can you serve England and Israel at the same time?
We will not submit. We are free men and women today, tomorrow, and forever in our country.
Now this is the part where I get confused. I mean, going after grooming gangs is one thing, but giving your full support to Israel is a little bit suspicious to me. Because you say you want Muslims banned from the UK, but you say nothing about Muslims practically being banned from their own country, as you can see quite clearly here. And it kind of contradicts your previous statements, like this one.
I think Muslims are victims of Islam, and I'd love to see them all set free.
Yeah, set free from Islam, but not set free in their own country.
I'd love to see them all set free. I'd love to see them all set free.
So here's a little history lesson.
Palestine was not an empty land when the first Zionist settler arrived there in the late 19th century. When they arrived in Palestine, the Palestinians were already enjoying a thriving cultural, social, and economic life. One cannot say that they arrived at an empty land. Palestinians, like most Arabs, are very hospitable. In the 1920s, to the mass immigration of Jews was to welcome them as poor people, allow them to be part of the society. What they did not accept was when it became clear, more or less in the late 1920s, that these settlers don't want to be guests, they want to be the owners of the house. And not just the owner of the house, they want to be the exclusive owners of the house.
And that's the truth. But hold on, breaking news from Canada.
I have just received word from Tommy Robinson's family. They have pulled his appeal. Tommy was sentenced on May 25th. That'll be a month and a half from his sentence.
But wait a minute, he's not in Canada. He's in Israel. Ha! Surprise, surprise. Now remember when you gave that speech on behalf of Martin Selna down at Speaker's Corner?
My name is Martin Selna.
Well, guess who else was there? Yes, good old Katie. claiming to be an endangered species.
I'm a white Christian conservative. I'm up there on the endangered species list with the black rhino, and his advantage is that he's black.
Now, where have I heard that one before? Oh, yeah, on her U.S. tour.
With the black rhino, and he has an advantage because he's black.
Oh, looks like Katie's got company. Mr. Kassam. Oh, sorry, Kate, I interrupted you.
Unlike the white rhino, no one seems to care.
And again.
And he has an advantage because he's black.
And one last time.
And he has an advantage because he's black. Black Lives Matter, people.
Well, Tommy, you both work for Rebel Media, but I'm sure she'd have nothing to do with you. Why? Because you're working class, that's why. She's a snob. No, I don't know what names you gave to your kids, but,
I think you can tell a great deal from a name. You know, for me, there's certain names that I hear them and I think, ooh. When I hear screeched across the playground, you know, Tyler, come back here.
Yes, she used a voice that typifies your kind of people. The working class.
Tyler, come back here. You know, it's that. That isn't just about class. There's a whole set of things that go with children like that. Children that have intelligent names tend to have fairly intelligent parents. And they make much better play dates, therefore, for my children.
Do you judge someone on their surname?
Surnames? No, I mean, I don't really get involved in surnames. I don't...
A lovely lady called Madia Haraha. If I got that wrong, I don't apologise.
Now, does she remind you of someone?
That's not what feminism has become.
No, I just realized something, Tommy. This Day for Freedom was supposed to be about the right to talk about immigration and children being raped by Muslims, but you invite this guy along who's attended parties where underage boys were having sex with adult men.
A lot of twinks taking drugs and having unsafe sex with older men, and some of these boys were very young.
And he kept quiet about it. Now let's get back to Katie, where she's painting a lovely picture of Armageddon back in the UK.
I am taking a hammering right now from the people of London.
And then the travesty of the Muslim Mayor Khan. In my opinion, he's a fellow traveler of extremism.
Now, remember the Parkland shooting in Florida? Tell me, Tommy, if your kids had been murdered, would you be out there protesting regarding gun control? If so, I don't think Katie would be sympathetic.
You're a vulture on their tragedy, using their death for your own ends, complete with Oscar-winning tears.
Rise up and make our voices heard.
March for our lives.
To go to the movie theater without being shot.
You're a kid going for a walk with a banner.
Well, there was a big march with lots of banners when you got locked up, Tommy. And she was all for marching then.
What has brought these people to this place is to show we will not be silenced. We will not be told to look away from what is wrong.
Yeah, like a bunch of school kids being slaughtered.
To go to a restaurant without being killed.
But I did wonder, listening to them, if they were ever going to shut up.
To go to school without being murdered.
And Molyneux believes that an 18-year-old kid being able to buy an AR-15 is not the problem.
Children get gunned down in cold blood because people won't talk about race and IQ.
Okay, an 18-year-old black kid with a low IQ could legally buy an AR-15 and then shoot up a bunch of kids. In order to solve the problem, which part of that sentence needs to be addressed? No answer? Okay, so the trauma of your kids getting murdered, Tommy, don't let it get you down. Because as Steph said at the time...
Trauma is not an argument.
He's a cunt.
He certainly is. And what about Wonder Boy?
Don't argue with teenagers. The optics of arguing with children are terrible. A vicious little cunt.
And what about Gavin? He's a man with a heart.
The children are dying.
He was referring to Obama's emotional response to black kids being gunned down in Chicago. And notice how he's sarcastically wearing a black tie. Fucking asshole. Yep, all tarred with the same brush.
They're all cunts. Let's not pretend they're not cunts, because they are fucking cunts.
And surprise, surprise.
And I'm proud to say I'm a card-carrying member of the NRA.
Oh my God!
My children, they're 13, 12, and 9. And just like any other normal mums and dads, they're the reason for my fight. I am a white Christian conservative. I'm a card-carrying member of the NRA, and I am proud I'm proud to support the work that they do, that you do. Thank you, sir, for your support today.
Now, why would an Englishwoman who'd probably never held a gun in her life support the NRA? Oh, what I'd give to see the details of her bank account. And now she gets all sentimental over a part of London.
Other areas that are really dear to me, where I have great friends, Jewish friends, Golders Green. It's kind of really well known as a Jewish community. It's been there for decades. They're building a mega mosque right in the centre.
Now, I hate to say this, Tommy, but here's another group of people like the Muslims who appear to dominate another part of London, with their own shops that sells their own food, and they too are guilty of genital mutilation. You see, a lot of people could say, why don't you criticize them? A little bit one-sided, no? And here's the money shot.
And I love America. You know, I come to America and I see that when you talk about the land of the free.
You have Trump.
I don't know. We all feel together, I think, this sense that Trump is giving us an opportunity to at least feel that there's hope. What you can do is get out.
You have Trump.
Go and vote and keep Trump in power, because that's how we try and defend the Christian culture that others would seek to destroy.
For Christians, we remember motherfuckers. Bullshit. Fuck shit. Fucking shit. The war hero because he was captured. Grab him by the pussy. And God bless America.
So, Tommy, is this vile piece of human shit that somehow molded itself into a kind of human being? Do you feel a connection with her? Because sadly, I think you do. Now, Sadiq Khan, the mayor of London, you made a very racist remark about him.
Give me one example.
Well?
It's not your country or your capital. You're part of an invasion into our country, Sadiq. That's what you are, it's our country. When I walk around London, I think, where are the men? Where are the English people? It's not an English city anymore anyway. Visit a real city with real British people in it.
Now you're starting to sound like someone else.
Toronto is what, 50% foreign born right now?
No, not that prick, the other one.
I am out and about here in Toronto on the hunt for someone that looks like they actually come from Canada, because everybody here looks like they come from Africa. But you never know. I might find another Canadian before the day's out.
Now I often wonder if Mr. Khan had been white, and let's say he had a different name. Do you think people's attitude towards him would be a little bit more sympathetic? Because the guy's getting attacked from all sides. Led, of course, by Mr. Hopkins.
If young black men are the guys mostly committing this crime, then young black men can expect to be stopped and searched. But this lot are so politically correct, they are prepared to let London fall, let young boys die on the street, slaughtered every night here, because they don't want to be called racist.
I am a white Christian conservative.
Racist.
You certainly are, Katie. And when he tries to come up with the solution...
So the London mayor wrote a tweet saying there is no reason to have a knife. You gonna ban knives? What's next? Fucking scissors?
But nobody mentions the fact that these crimes are taking place all over the country. And as far as London goes, look at this peak for 2003. And he wasn't even around then. No, if he's out with his wife and some kid stabs another kid to death, that's not his fault. No, this is a social problem. But still they attack him, even after he committed himself to this.
I was the guy who had a fatwa against him because I voted for same-sex marriage.
No, he can't seem to please anyone, especially your newfound friend, Stefan the Liar Molyneux, who wasn't happy when he became mayor.
London has just elected its first Muslim mayor.
And of course he had to remind us of the London that he grew up in.
The buses, it's funny, you know what makes you sentimental, but a lot of childhood memories of getting on those famous double-decker London buses. And I remember I was going to theater school. Now they're going to be plastered with Allah is Great by Muslims. And one of the guys in my acting class. It is a shocking and horrifying situation. Action alone will save everything we hold dear in this world.
Oh yes, sad words indeed, that came from the bottom of his... But Tommy, there's something I want to talk to you about. You did an interview with this woman who said that Mr. Khan accused her of hate speech. but it was all to do with hate speech that he was getting from many, many people.
Muslims need to be shot or hanged. Muslims have no dignity. I wish Sadiq Khan would just blow himself up like they all do. I wish someone would build a fire and throw you on it, you useless sack of shit. Deport the Muslims, starting with your pathetic self.
But you didn't show that part. You only played the clip regarding her comment, and here it is.
If you use a knife to mutilate your daughter's vagina, will the full force of the law be brought down on you? Asking for a Muslim. Let's work together to end this hate.
So you asked him that, and he's used that as an example of...
hate speech.
Of hate speech. For asking him that simple question.
No, it wasn't that simple question, Tommy, and well, you know it.
The question you was getting at, I guess, was to do with FGM.
Yep.
And the next thing we know, she's on the Alex Jones channel, showing that same short clip.
A mutilation of little girls. So here it is.
If you use a knife to mutilate your daughter's vagina, will the full force of the law be brought down on you?
Now, let's not forget, Mr. Khan made it quite clear from day one he would fight against this vile procedure. But someone edited that video to make it look like he was just addressing her. And look at the views and comments you got. That brought even more hatred towards Mr. Khan. And she was there, wasn't she, at your Day for Freedom rally?
Sadiq Khan's London is open to those who wish to practice FGM. Mutilate your daughter's vagina and the full force of the law will look the other way. The message to those who force FGM onto their daughters is clear. Carry on cutting in Sadiq Khan's London.
Now look at the response to your lady friend's lies. But there's another woman who's actually qualified on the subject. If you read what she says, she's basically saying that if no one reports it, there's absolutely nothing they can do. The thing is, who was responsible for editing Sadiq Khan's video? And who wrote this woman's speech? Was it her? Was it you? Or someone else from the Tommy Robinson team?
Guess who's coming to London?
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown.
Or the land of the free.
USA! US fucking A!
Because that's fake news, Tommy. And it's very dangerous fake news. And here comes the backlash from one of your fans, the deplorables.
We don't want a fucking mayor where we've got rape and murder going on, but it seems to be more concerned about what people are tweeting about him and then making a video. The only thing that's missing was a fucking handkerchief to mop his tears up. Oh, people are being nasty about me.
And he also spoke at your Day for Freedom rally.
Yes, London! Hey! I think a lot of Muslims are prisoners of Islam, captivated by that filthy cult. Now, are you telling me that there is not a woman right now in Dubai sweltering in the midday sun, baking in her burqa, that doesn't want to whip it off, get her tits out and run along the beach?
My apologies for his language, but that's his style.
Pants down and started sucking his dick.
Everybody wants to get their tits out. If the radicals and the far left don't like it, fuck them! Thank you, have a fucking lovely day!
Isn't Liam amazing?
So Raheem Kassam, this university-educated man, ex-editor of Breitbart London, and who once worked for Lehman Brothers, thinks that Liam is amazing.
Give it up for Liam Tufts, come on!
I don't think so. He was there to spew out more anti-Muslim propaganda, and giving your supporters the kind of humor they seem to like.
And I'm fucking her like this. And she's farted.
Isn't Liam amazing?
Yep, just doing a job that hopefully will get rid of this man.
If you give a fuck about anybody in London, resign.
Sadiq Khan's obsession with mean tweets and hate speech has gone too far.
I agree, Tommy. Too far. Just like your supporters when they cornered two Muslim guys at your Day for Freedom rally.
Jesus Christ, our Saviour. You're like little kids, aren't you?
Then someone let the dogs out. Now here are the two men who were being attacked. Muhammad Hijab and Ali Dawa. In my book, a couple of good guys. But you told a big lie that day, Tommy.
And Tommy Robinson put out a video saying Mohammed actually assaulted a police officer. The description of the video says, Muslim MMA fighter turns up to provoke trouble at the Day of Freedom, and his film crew live stream him hitting a police officer. That statement from Tommy Robinson is fake news. And I watched Muhammad Hijab actually try to de-escalate a situation, and Ali and Mo had big smiles on their faces where they politely discussed things with people outside the event.
Yes, Sadiq Khan once said that London was the safest place to live in. But it certainly don't look that way to me, if you're a Muslim. So let's go back in time, when you said that there was an event that made you really angry.
A parade to mark their return from Iraq marched through the centre of Luton. Muslim demonstrators with placards and anti-war slogans.
Now, are you saying these guys don't have the right to their day of freedom of speech against the government that took you to an illegal war? I mean, you said it yourself.
What happened in Iraq was completely illegal. Plenty of innocent Muslims would have died.
Plenty? Some estimates put it at 1 million. Now, imagine this is your town, your friends, your family. Would you not take to the streets and shout about it? Nope, they had a perfect right to protest. I mean, how would you react? Supposing someone told you that 1 million girls have been raped by Pakistani men, for example.
So this is 1 million predominantly white girls groomed or raped by Pakistani men.
Oh, relax, Tommy, that's fake news. And the reason I know that is, he didn't challenge it. Neither did he. And when I talk to Mr. Psycho Brain, answer me, 1 million girls, true or false? Now, even when it was pointed out to Molyneux that his figure of 1 million was completely fake, he went ahead the following year and reposted it twice.
We do have to have the right to speak the truth as we see it, as we see it, as we see it.
And that's how you get this shit.
It's believed that up to 1 million girls have been raped by the so-called grooming gangs.
I am responsible to you and to the truth, and I will continue to tell you the truth.
They're not grooming gangs, they're rape gangs!
Yes! And you, Tommy, you became part of that team. Or should I say, the new swamp. And boy, they really licked your ass.
Hi everybody, Stefan Molyneux here with Tommy Robertson. He is an independent journalist.
You're not a journalist, Tommy. These people are journalists. A real journalist would have challenged them on
1 million predominantly white girls groomed or raped by Pakistani men.
And what else did he say?
And the author of the best-selling books Enemy of the State and Muhammad's Quran.
Come on, Tommy, are you really the author of that book? You know, working-class guy analyzing an ancient book like the Quran? It's my opinion that the guy who's down as the co-author was probably the one that did the job. Because he'd previously written a book about the grooming gangs, hadn't he? And I couldn't help noticing that his name came before your name. Maybe that's why you shouldn't have said this.
Get involved in any way of educating people. Bring about the debate. Bring about this discussion.
Because there was someone who wanted to debate you on your book. Remember this guy? Let the debate begin.
You have been going and spreading lies about my religion, so I want a debate, and let's see if your claims are true.
But you said you'd only agree to it on the understanding that he'd have to get involved with a physical fight with you afterwards.
Well, I've got one condition.
Okay, go on.
That we box for charity on the same night.
Tommy, are you going to meet me or not?
Okay, listen, man to man, let's meet and debate on the same night as that. Let's box.
So what debating society did you go to where you get a chance to punch the crap out of the guy afterwards?
Okay, I'm going to give you one more last chance. Are you going to debate me or not?
Bring about the debate. Yes.
Okay, where we're going to debate?
Bruv, don't be such a little bitch. Bring about the debate.
Are you going to meet me or not?
Yes.
Okay, where and when?
Meet, debate, and box.
Okay, where and when are we going to debate? Yeah, exactly. That silence is enough for you. That silence there is enough for you, Tommy.
And I think it's because you knew that he knew that you didn't know much about the Quran. But tell me something, Tommy. It must have been quite difficult to get the financing for this book, no?
I think if there's somebody with a good capitalistic mindset, they'll realise they'll shift a lot of copies.
But let's get back to that debate where things are taking on a new twist.
Are you a Christian? Would you class yourself as a Christian?
Yeah, I'm a Christian.
You're a Christian? Really? Well, you're in good company.
I will earn more this year than you will in your entire lifetime, so go fuck yourself.
You are a Catholic.
Well, this Catholic certainly didn't check out Leviticus.
You shall not lie with a male as with a woman. It is an abomination.
I hope you say to yourself, gee, I'm also capable of bullshit, stupid thinking.
And then it turned out you didn't know much about your own holy book.
Okay, so if I say to you, for example, just to finish off, in the book of Samuel, chapter 15, verse 2-3, where God orders Amalekites to go kill men, women, children, babies, and donkeys, can you find me anything similar in the Quran, in the Hadith? Anywhere.
Is that the instructions of God?
Who else can it be? Anywhere.
Then you asked him if that text had influenced any Christians to go out and do mass murder. And Tommy, if you were a real journalist, you would have known his answer.
Show me the last time you saw a Christian killing a man, woman, baby, and donkey.
Yeah, sure, definitely. For example, Bush, who said, I spoke to my Heavenly Father and blew up 1 million Muslims.
Do you believe that the hand of God is guiding you?
My relationship with God is a very personal relationship. And I turned to the good Lord for guidance.
Anyway, listen, I need to go. Good night. It was nice talking to you.
Oh, my God, Ali. Fucking hell, you believe you're in hot dinner?
A bit.
Now, Tommy, your claim of being a journalist, well, if you knock on someone's door and they don't want to talk to you but instead call the police, and then the cop comes along and asks for your name, don't do this.
McGroin.
McGroin?
Yeah.
How are you spelling that?
M-A-G.
You gave your name as Phil McGroin. Then you gave your real name?
It's Stephen Leonard. It's Stephen.
You're not giving me a separate name.
That was Phil McGroin, you didn't get it though?
No.
To Phil McGroin.
So the joke was, feel my groin. Really? Tommy, I've seen lots of comments from your fans saying that you should be Prime Minister. I hate to tell you, but to reach that level, you're gonna have to come across as a little bit more sophisticated. Although in saying that...
You could see there was blood coming out of her.
Maybe it is possible. So it seems that this incident inspired you to form the English Defence League. And I gotta say, a pretty mean-looking bunch they were. And to be honest, when I watch these guys, this is what I actually see. Oh, here he comes.
The British establishment has a really antiquated view of anyone who's remotely patriotic or has a problem with the Muslim takeover of Britain.
Sorry, Gavin, if I could just stop you there. It's not a takeover. I mean, this is a takeover. And here's another one. And to bring us up to date, this one. You see, in the UK, they call it immigration. I mean, just like Stefan Molyneux, you're the son of immigrants. And I believe that your wife, Emily, is of Native American heritage. These kind of people. Now, regarding Muslims taking over certain areas, it only seems that way to, well, people who are basically, you know. Now, imagine this place is full of white people. Then a brown family buy a house, then move in. Then not long after, their new neighbors move out because they don't like brown people. And then a relative hears about the sale of that house, and then she moves in. And before you know it, that's what you tried to project, isn't it? No, Gavin, Muslims don't take over a place. It happens naturally. People move out, and people move in. And what's wrong with brown folks wanting to be near other brown folks? I mean, listen to what Stefan once said.
We need a group, we need friends, we need companions, we need our gang. There's nothing wrong with that.
Oh, sorry, my goof. He was talking about white folks. Okay, Gavin, I'll let you get back to your work.
Their view is Tommy Robinson is just, why is fucking Britain turning brown? They're not like that. They may have been like that in the 70s and 80s.
Wrong. Shut the fuck up, Gavin. So,
Tommy Robinson and his right-hand man have left the English Defence League last night over fears the group has become too extreme.
Then you went to Ireland.
Tommy Robinson, formerly of the English Defence League, has travelled to Cork to help Peter O'Loughlin launch anti-Islam group Pegida Ireland, and to announce a rally against what they call the Islamification of Europe. A protester has come in to observe the launch.
I remember the phone to see what's going on. Seems out here.
No, because it's a private meeting now. Fuck off.
Excuse me?
Yeah?
Don't get aggressive with me.
I'm not aggressive with you. I'm just telling you how it is. You're not welcome.
You know, we're not fascists, we're not violent.
Sit down and shut up then.
Don't speak to me like that.
I'll speak to you how I want.
Okay.
If you don't like it, stop me. Mug.
Now listen to what was said about that incident.
mighty, and I know they're going to pick up on that.
And you said they got all that on camera. And
stay calm all the time. If the camera's not there, fucking punch geezers right in the head.
If the camera's not there, fucking punch the geezers round the head.
Violence was never Tommy's game.
And you left the EDL because you thought they were too extreme. Looks like old habits die hard, doesn't it, Tommy? No, the football hooligan never left you. Like this situation here. This guy was one of a group of immigrants that you were trying to film. And naturally he wasn't pleased about that. Now look at this. He raises his arm in the air, and he ends up facing the wrong way. You could have just stepped back, but you didn't.
Violence was never Tommy's game.
No, once a thug, always a thug. Pretty much like your soccer-supporting buddies who would join you in marching against Islam.
We're now in Birmingham. In this city, you have Aston Villa and Birmingham Football Club. They are fierce rivals. The two would never go together to put away their differences.
They've put away their differences, and what are their differences? Well, let's take a look. Hey, Tommy, did you know that at football matches in Iraq, they don't have hooligans like you do? But as they line up to collect their medals, there's always a chance they'll get blown to pieces. So we invade their country, kill a possible 1 million people, then along come ISIS with their suicide bombers. Oh, what a shitty deal they got. Oh, and if they try and seek refuge in your country, you tell them to piss off back where they came from. Isn't life cruel? And now back to Western civilization. So what's actually going on here, Tommy? Is it a protest against Islam or just a bunch of low-life thugs?
Fucking hell, man!
Now, your friend, Stefan Molyneux, is always going on about the low IQ of blacks.
If you're interested in having a higher IQ, get your powerful Survival Shield X2 at InfoWarsStore.com.
Okay, Paul, thanks for that. Now, back to that protest march. Look at the way they conduct themselves when they're on a protest. And Mr. King himself? Well, just listen to him.
Martin Luther King, he was a liar.
What the hell?
King had dozens of
bear with me.
extramarital affairs.
Jesus Christ, where the hell did that come from?
And this has really been covered up.
Forget it. I just wanted to say, when I compare the vocabulary of his speeches compared to your buddies, well, I'm speechless.
US fucking A! And a Friday afternoon, I too can be found in a room full of sweaty, hairy men with my ass in the air.
A wet raccoon doesn't have $7 billion fucking dollars in the bank.
And then along came this. You decide to mock a verse from the Quran.
Before Muslims have sex with their wives, they hold their hands up in the air, okay? Oh Allah, protect us from Satan and protect us from what you bestow upon us. Then they jump on and get involved. You lunatics. Absolute lunatics.
Now why don't you read a verse from your own holy book, where your peaceful God once said, "Thou shalt not kill." Yes, the same God that murdered everyone on the planet. And in honor to him, his followers built a full-size replica of Noah's Ark in Kentucky, where people can see proof of dinosaurs in biblical times, and a robotic talking Noah, who, if you're hungry, will direct you to the top deck where you can get a McDonald's. No, forget all that stuff or you'll start a holy war. And Stefan Molyneux knows all about war.
My whole life, I have been scared of war. And I feel maybe it's just come down to this one speech.
Yeah, he's acting again.
What I can do with what I have tonight.
Yeah, very emotional speech there. But it doesn't stop him having a nice jolly chat with a guy who made $2.4 billion by starting up his own private army.
So, we have on the show Eric Prince. He's the author of Civilian Warriors, the inside story of Blackwater and the unsung heroes of the War on Terror.
And now back to you, Tommy, because when Trump announced he was coming to Britain, you came up with this.
I want to organise a Trump welcoming.
A Trump welcoming? You are aware, Tommy, that Trump did a $110 billion deal with the Saudis. You know, that country with the worst human rights record. And no doubt these weapons will be used to massacre people in Yemen. And not just the military, but the innocent population too. And when evidence is found that this US bomb killed these kids, well, it's gonna make a guy living in London who might be from Yemen pretty mad. And after seeing this on TV, he might just do something real crazy, which means that you'll have to get down there.
This is an Islamic jihad attack.
No, it's not, Tommy. It's called the domino effect. Boom, boom, boom. Sorry, you were saying?
I'm in the early stages now of talking with my team about it.
Oh, of course, the team.
Oh, Mr. Trump needs to hear from normal people of England that people respect him.
But I want to organise such a massive event in London. I'll just say to people, just come along. Don't believe the hysteria. Don't believe the media and get involved.
Don't believe the media? Well, they reported accurately on this.
President Putin, he just said it's not Russia. I will say this, I don't see any reason why it would be.
But he said later that he'd misspoken because he had a problem with the...
Well, the mouth. And hopefully the brain attached to the mouth, right? The brain, more important than the mouth is the brain. The brain is much more important.
Tell me, Tommy, did you ever catch this one?
Well, Putin's a liar, but Putin is somebody that people are respecting all over the world now.
He also is a person that kills journalists, political opponents.
Well, he's running this country, and at least he's a leader.
Obviously not. The guy's a nut job. But not according to Molyneux, who will protect him to the end.
What are Donald Trump's biggest flaws? That is from Derek.
This is from a call-in show where a guy asked this question. But Molyneux refuses to address this issue.
Why are you focusing on Donald Trump?
Oh dear. And after a long period of getting no answers, the guy's thrown off the show.
Okay, I'm done. Moving on to the next caller. Thanks very much for your call. It was really enjoyable, but I am so done.
Yep, says it all, really.
This is about...
I agree. Bullshit and covering up the truth. Oh, hang on. That's not a bull. That's a rhinoceros.
I'm up there with the black rhino.
We can hear you, Katie. Hang in there. Yeah, Molyneux, one of Trump's loyal subjects.
They're saying he's crazy. All of the evidence is that, of course, he is stable and functioning at a very, very super high level. And he is a genius. It just is. It just is a fact.
Anybody can act presidential.
IQ, and it's staggeringly high.
Ladies and gentlemen of the state of Florida, thank you very much for being here. And I will leave now because I am boring you to death. Thank you.
Yes, Molyneux will lie his head off to keep this man in power. Like when his lawyer is found guilty, and his other lawyer confirms this, Molyneux reposted the president's tweets.
This is about free speech.
Well, when are you gonna be free to talk about the massive turnover in the White House? Apart from the ones, shall we say, who have been detained, actually, I've got a good one for you. Listen to this. A lawyer, a spy, a mob boss, and a money launderer walk into a bar. The bartender says, "You guys must be here to talk about adoption." Can I suggest that you get out more and do some proper investigation and spend less time in your bedroom? And on the subject of Russia...
The West has painted him as a monster, and I don't think it's acceptable any longer. I don't have a problem with Putin.
And when it comes to Syria...
You know, people always say Assad is a monster, but having seen what we've seen, for me, Assad is the best monster we have on option right now.
Now, back to London, where Sadiq Khan is talking about Trump's visit.
And I've no doubt that if he does come, there'll be some people who want to express their views loudly and peacefully.
And Mr. Buckby wasn't pleased about the mayor talking about protests.
The people you tell to go out and protest will be turning up in balaclavas and potentially, killing people.
Well, the day came and nothing like that happened.
This is no joke. These people are violent as hell. Just how peaceful do you think left-wing anti-fascists are going to be when Hitler arrives in Britain?
Tommy, I think he's getting confused with your protests.
And it's disgraceful for the mayor of London to be suggesting that people go out and protest when people all over this country love that man.
This is about free speech.
Yep, you're right this time, Paul.
I think they like me a lot in the UK.
Disgraceful.
Poor Jack. He's so sensitive. But you missed Trump's visit, Tommy, because by now you were in the slammer. But your team hadn't forgotten about you.
Welcome back to Whitehall!
Mr. Kassam seems to think he's at a rock concert. But this is one of those bring Tommy home demos. But as you'll see here, it's more of a UKIP stroke Donald Trump promo.
It's Mr. Gerard Batten!
Yes, the new leader of UKIP. You remember the old leader, don't you? Yes, Nigel Farage. And look who's with him. Yes, Mr. Kassam. So Nigel Farage quits his job at UKIP right after he gets the Brexit vote, then takes a trip to New York and meet with Donald Trump at Trump Tower.
People like Nigel put their country first.
Of course he does. That's why he flew all the way to the US to support Trump.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Nigel Farage.
And now back to the new leader of UKIP, using your name to get some new blood.
Be among the steadily growing number of people who are joining UKIP.
And look who else has joined UKIP.
And I'm excited to learn that a number of big-name social influencers have joined the party.
Sorry about the bad quality of the video, but I believe he bought his camera from this guy in 1980.
I'd like to welcome Paul Joseph Watson, Sargon of Akkad, Count Dankula, and Milo Yiannopoulos to our party. Now, if you're not a social media animal, some of these names may seem a bit strange.
But not to you, because you're a cool, hip guy. Oh, they're not pop stars. Oh, I thought they were rock and roll fellows.
But they're all true crusaders for freedom of expression, and I'm delighted they realise that UKIP is the only party committed to this principle.
Yeah, good move getting these dudes on board. They've got a huge following and will have a big influence in all the young kids in the UK. And if you do win the election, it'll be a big celebration with your friends. But I very much doubt if Tommy and chums will be invited. And isn't it amazing how a guy who's a complete nobody, who teaches his girlfriend's dog to do a Nazi salute, could be elevated to his present position of power, simply because Tommy came into his life. Anyway, back to the free Tommy demo. And let's talk about Donald Trump. And here comes the flag. You see where this is going? And finally on video, President Donald J. Trump. Good job, Mr. Kassam. You served your masters well. But wait, there's another free Tommy demo in New York. And by the looks of it, not many folks showed up. But there were a few. Yes, Gavin McInnes and Mr. Kassam. Oh, by the way, can you see the reflection in the car window? Trump 2020. The thing is, who's financing all these flights, hotels, and expenses? I mean, you've been traveling all over the planet. We got Lauren Southern and Stefan Molyneux in Australia, where Molyneux more or less refers to the Aborigines as a bunch of idiots, and Katie Hopkins has been everywhere. Here she is in South Africa. Oh, by the way, the title of this video is Ready for an Attack. And look to the right, shots ring out. Let's watch some of it.
And they really make me realise that Western feminists are just so disappointing.
Keep your head down, keep your head down. Keep your head down.
Oh my God, they're trying to kill Katie. Yeah, it all looks pretty scary. But then they put this up at the end. The whole thing was staged, just to give you an idea what it would have been like.
As you can see, I'm being well looked after here in South Africa, but if you can help us with the costs of security, donate now at hopkinsworld.com.
Join Katie next time when she goes from wearing these clothes to these clothes to prove how easy it is to get raped. But sadly, the actor who was supposed to play the rapist called in to say he was sick and couldn't make it. But I think that was probably an excuse. And this is where I started to become a bit suspicious about you, Tommy. When you gave your full support to this bunch, a far-right group called Britain First. All that's missing here are the stupid costumes of another right-wing group. And they claim they're only exercising their right to free speech. But this is not free speech. This is confrontational or harassment. Pretty much like Lauren Southern, who likes to hang around mosques and challenges Muslims on their beliefs. And she wonders why people call the cops. If she wants free speech, why doesn't she get herself down to the Vatican? I mean, would you ever challenge these women and ask them why they cover themselves up in black? Would you tell these girls that Jesus could have been gay? Or challenge him in the latest pedophilia scandal? No. And Steph will tell you why.
You're a Christian.
That's right, Lauren, you're a Christian. You worship a different God. You know, the one that made everything, the sun, the moon, the stars, flowers, butterflies, the hippopotamus, and lots of fruit.
You know, I was watching something tonight where they said, you know, Stefan Molyneux said some controversial things about Aborigines, right?
They're saying you said things about a certain ethnic group?
65% of Syrian refugees can't even read or write. The average IQ of people in sub-Saharan Africa, this is not actually things that we've said. Oh, they can all come in, but then they'll become just like Germans. Really, really. It's not that easy to blend when you don't look the same. When you don't look the same. When you don't look the same.
Oh, that's really sad, Steph. Especially since that guy put up this comment. I mean, how can you sleep at night?
We're not white supremacists or fascists.
But what would have happened? They'd just set up big machine guns and said, you must turn back or we shoot.
Yes, he actually put forward the scenario.
And if they continued to come, then they would have had to shoot into the crowd. Then there would have been a dozen or 24 bodies, which would have been tragic.
Oh my God. And by the way, Tommy, Molyneux always encourages his fans to download and share stuff. Well, remember this clip from earlier?
Someone said to me, Steph, but she's your mother. And I said, yes, she is. And that's why she's not fucking dead.
That was from a podcast he did. And here's another one.
I have less anger with my mother because in the divorce...
Bullshit. Sorry. No. Because men ask women out, men make the proposals, and women say yes or fucking no. That's their entire job. Yes or no. Put some false eyelashes on, push your tits up, and say yes or no. That's the fucking job. Yes or no. Every time I talk about women's responsibility for who they fuck and who they have children with, women are all like, it takes two to tango. Here's a down payment on your pussy.
But someone from this channel recorded these clips and shared them. And when Molyneux found out, he wasn't happy. Because basically he didn't want the world to see that he was a very disturbed man. So what did he do? He got the channel taken down. Which means that the guy who's all for free speech didn't want someone else sharing his free speech. No, free speech is only okay when he's doing the talking, which is quite often asking for money.
So I implore you, I beg you, I encourage you, I exhort you.
I need your help to do what I'm doing.
I encourage you.
I need your help. I need your help.
I exhort you. Well, I've been a business owner, right? I guess I still am, right? Speak reasonably, speak peacefully, speak forcefully. Do not back down. Do not back down. Do not back down. And please, help me in what I'm doing. There's so many different ways that you can help. PayPal account, it's nice and easy. A Visa, got a MasterCard, got a bank card, you can take Bitcoin.
Oh yeah, Bitcoin. I checked that one. And wow, the guy is at least a millionaire. But he wants more. According to YouTube, almost banned me.
It is very clear to me now, significant resources are needed. There's lots of different ways to protect yourself and fight back in this kind of culture war. Of course, I'm going to need a backup resource of some way to keep the show going should something happen. That's going to cost money. I have to look into my legal options. That's also going to cost money. And I need your help.
Yes, he's a con man.
No!
Oh yes, you are. With you being a journalist, Tommy, I would have thought you would have known that. But this is where we part company, my friend.
In this video, I'm going to talk about Grenfell.
Yes, Grenfell. A horrific fire that killed many people with lots of others jumping to their death. And you want to talk about how many were illegal immigrants.
We just don't know how many people were in that building. We'll probably never know. We do know, though, that it was packed full of illegal immigrants.
Do you have any proof of that, Tommy? Because I'd like to see it.
They were subletting apartments and cramming in as many people as possible. There were reports that as many as 42 bodies were found in just one apartment.
Yeah, that's because they were trying to escape the fire, you dummy. Here are some folks that were never found, and that's because their bones were turned to dust. And I'm disgusted at your behavior on this.
Illegal immigrants are exactly that. They're illegal.
And on the first anniversary of that horrible event, Katie Hopkins had to get her big fucking nose in.
Okay, that's it. I can't take it anymore. If I hear the words Grenfell one more time, I will take a fridge and detonate it in my own mouth just to make the voices go away. The endless coverage of the Grenfell Tower fire. Bloody exhausting. Public buildings were lit up, green for Grenfell, and politicians desperately tried to out-grief each other. This is an appeasement of the worst order and an erosion of our identity and what it means to be British. We're on bended knee to Islam and gripped by this mandatory multiculturalism that prizes diversity above national pride. We are proud of our heritage. We, the people, stand strong for Britain.
Yes, Tommy, you and your buddies have sold your souls to the devil. Now, you made a big song and dance about the murder of Lee Rigby. It was a horrible murder, but it was just a murder. Tell me something. Do you know who this guy is? He was a Muslim, and he was disabled. Now, he's not famous like Lee Rigby, but he too was murdered. Beaten to a pulp by the guy on the left. And with the assistance of the guy on the right, they set his body on fire. And why? Because they heard he was a pedophile. But it turned out to be a misunderstanding. Now, I'm wondering how you'd feel if you found out they were big Tommy Robinson fans. And this lady here, she was beaten and raped, then murdered by these other two white English guys. And they too set her body on fire. So after getting home from prison, you just couldn't help yourself, could you? You had to get your camera crew in and film your reunion with your kids. I would have thought that would be something private, but not for you because, well, you gotta think of your fans, haven't you? You said before that your wife and children have had death threats. But according to you, it's not gonna stop you fighting for the country you love, England. What a selfish bastard you are. I'm sure that these threats were nothing more than threats. But the fact that you're willing to take that risk with their lives, So, can I make a suggestion? Get yourself a job and maybe on the side you could do some kind of social work. You know, helping the young kids of your hometown in Luton. Because look at your legacy, Tommy. A deadly disease that's spreading throughout the whole world. And if you miss the old pedophile hunting days, take a look at these figures. There's still a lot of bad stuff going on.
Reports of widespread, systematic child abuse running through every echelon of British society.
Some of them involve children as young as 2 years of age.
No, the pedophile thing doesn't stop with the Muslims, Tommy. This has been going on for a long time. As you well know, there's lots of young girls have been victims of these white celebrities. Oh, and young boys too. So can I suggest you check out a YouTube channel called Dark Justice and maybe start up something along the same lines. All you gotta do is set up a fake account, pretend you're a 14-year-old girl, and wait for the freaks to get in touch. And they do. There's plenty of them out there. But you notice they're all white British guys. I say that because I feel you've spent too much time on brown people. There's plenty of white folks committing the same crime. And when you've got them, you simply call the police. Easy. And you can remain anonymous. But somehow, I don't think you want to be anonymous. You're enjoying your fame far too much.
You've made me, you know when I stood up on this stage earlier and you're all singing my name, it's an amazing feeling. And you're all singing my name, it's an amazing feeling.
And the irony is, Tommy Robinson is not even your real name. It's fake.
Let's not lose focus and start directing our hate towards a small minority. And let's not let people like Tommy fool us into hating each other. Because it's only when we unite together on a common cause, the fact that we are human beings and we all want peace. Once we unite on this platform, only then can we realize what's being done to us by the people in power. Let's just understand this. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum.
So are you a millionaire? What about these million girls that got raped?
Both working on this movie and looking at this movie, I just had a sort of lump in my throat the whole time going, I really hope people get this. I really hope they understand how high the stakes are.